from a tiny town to a world of mystery. In 1862, a small Illinois town became the center of a murder investigation that would baffle detectives for decades. It was here in this quiet community that a young woman named Eliza Fruge was found dead in her home. Her lifeless body discovered by her sister Mary, who had arrived unexpectedly at the house. At first glance, it seemed like any ordinary case of murder. A husband suspected, a motive established, and justice seemed to be served when he was swiftly tried and convicted. But the story didn't end there. As time passed, doubts crept into the minds of investigators, leading them down a labyrinth of deceit, hidden motives, and shocking revelations. This wasn't just a case of passion or greed. It was a calculated, sinister plot that reached far beyond the confines of a small town. Join us as we uncover the layers of deception, exploring the secrets that were unveiled in one of the most baffling cases in detective history. The Discovery. It was an ordinary day in the quiet town of Paris, Illinois, when Mary McHenry decided to surprise her sister, Eliza Fruge, with an unexpected visit. But what she found when she entered Eliza's home was far from ordinary. Eliza lay lifeless on the floor, her eyes staring vacantly into the abyss, her body bearing the marks of a brutal attack. The room was in disarray, suggesting a violent struggle. Immediately realizing the gravity of the situation, Mary rushed to alert the authorities. The news of Eliza's untimely demise sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. As whispers spread, the local law enforcement officials sprang into action, eager to find the person responsible for this heinous crime. The investigation into Eliza's death revealed a series of peculiar details that hinted at a more complex scenario than initially thought. Eliza, a 29-year-old woman known for her warm nature and radiant smile, had been reported missing just 2 days prior to the discovery of her body. Her absence was unusual, causing concern among her family and friends who quickly reported it to the police. But what had transpired in those missing days played a crucial role in shaping the narrative of the case. Adding another layer to this enigmatic puzzle, the authorities found no signs of forced entry into the house, suggesting that Eliza may have known her assailant. This detail raised questions about whether the perpetrator was someone close to her, someone who had gained her trust only to betray it in the most horrific way imaginable. As the investigation deepened, the detectives were faced with a daunting task. How were they going to sift through the maze of possibilities to find the truth? With each passing day, the urgency to solve the case grew, driven by the need for justice for Eliza and the desire to put an end to the torment of her grieving family. The prime suspect, Dr. Richard Ristine. As the investigation commenced, all eyes turned to Dr. Richard Ristine, Eliza's husband. The doctor, a pillar of the community, was well respected by his peers and was considered an upstanding citizen. However, beneath this seemingly perfect facade, cracks began to appear, hinting at a darker reality. Witnesses came forward, sharing rumors of the couple's tumultuous relationship. They spoke of frequent heated arguments that shook the very foundations of their home. These revelations painted a stark contrast of the doctor, casting him as a man capable of unspeakable acts. Yet, despite these mounting accusations, the doctor vehemently denied any wrongdoing. He claimed to be as shocked and saddened by Eliza's death as anyone else, asserting his innocence with unwavering conviction. As the legal proceedings began, the community was torn. Could the respected Dr. Ristine be guilty of such a heinous crime? Or was he, in fact, an innocent man caught in a web of deceit? The trial and verdict. With the evidence at hand, the prosecution built a compelling case against Dr. Ristine, painting a picture of a man driven to murder by jealousy and anger. The defense, however, argued that the prosecution's case was based on mere speculation and conjecture, highlighting the lack of concrete evidence directly linking the doctor to the crime. As the trial dragged on, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. Each piece of evidence, each witness statement brought the audience one step closer to a resolution. Finally, after hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict, finding Dr. Ristine guilty of murder in the first degree. The courtroom erupted in gasps and murmurs as the gravity of the verdict sunk in. Dr. Ristine, the man who had once been revered by the community, was now a convicted murderer. The judge, taking into account the severity of the crime, handed down the maximum sentence, ensuring that Dr. Ristine would never walk free again. As the gavel banged, signifying the end of the proceedings, the weight of the verdict pressed heavily on everyone present. Hidden motives and shocking revelations. While Dr. Ristine's conviction brought a semblance of justice, it did little to quell the doubts that had been sown during the trial. Questions lingered in the minds of many, and it wasn't long before a series of startling revelations shook the town to its core. Emerging from the shadows were individuals who claimed to have information that could overturn the verdict. They spoke of hidden motives, secret affairs, and a web of deceit that extended far beyond the initial investigation had uncovered. One such revelation was the revelation of a secret affair that Eliza had been involved in. This bombshell testimony painted a picture of a woman scorned, suggesting that perhaps jealousy had played a part in the doctor's actions. The defense team, seizing upon this new information, argued that it was possible that Eliza's lover, driven by his own motives, could have been the actual perpetrator. As this new evidence came to light, the case was reopened, and the once closed chapter was turned back to the scrutiny of the public eye. This development not only cast doubt on the doctor's guilt, but also introduced a new set of complexities to an already tangled web of deceit. The Lazarus secret. Amidst the chaos and confusion, a new suspect emerged: Lazarus, a former employee of Dr. Ristine. The motive? A life insurance policy. This revelation added a layer of intrigue to the case, shifting the focus away from the doctor and towards this mysterious individual. The evidence against Lazarus was compelling. Secret beneficiary of the deceased woman's life insurance policy, a secret kept hidden, pointing towards a sinister design. As the investigation into Lazarus intensified, so did the efforts to exonerate Dr. Ristine. His supporters rallied, demanding a thorough examination of the evidence and a review of the original trial. Amidst the clamor for justice, the authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the new evidence, hoping to finally bring closure to this perplexing case. Unveiling the mastermind. After a thorough review of the evidence and an intense investigation into Lazarus's activities, a shocking truth began to unravel. It was discovered that Lazarus had forged Dr. Ristine's signature on financial documents, implicating the doctor in fraudulent activities. This revelation not only pointed towards a conspiracy, but also suggested that Dr. Ristine was a victim rather than a perpetrator. The mastermind behind this intricate web of deceit was none other than Lazarus himself, a cunning individual who had expertly manipulated events to frame Dr. Ristine. With the unveiling of Lazarus's true colors, the quest for justice took a decisive turn. The focus shifted from the doctor to the real criminal, and the community prepared for the final showdown. The arrest of Lazarus, as the evidence against him became undeniable, Lazarus found himself cornered, his elaborate facade crumbling around him. The arrest sent shockwaves through the town, shattering the image of innocence he had so carefully cultivated. In the face of overwhelming evidence, Lazarus's attempts to flee were futile. The long arm of the law had caught up with him, bringing him back to the town where his crimes had been committed. The return of Lazarus brought a sense of relief and anticipation for justice. As he stepped foot in the town once again, the weight of his alleged crimes pressing heavily upon him, he was met with the stern gaze of the law and the furious eyes of a community seeking retribution. The final verdict. With Lazarus back in custody, the stage was set for the final act of this dramatic tale. The evidence presented a clear picture of his guilt, leaving little room for doubt. The community, eager for resolution, held their breath as the verdict was delivered, ensuring that the mastermind behind the elaborate deceit faced the consequences of his actions. The impact of the verdict resonated far beyond the courtroom walls, serving as a reminder of the lengths to which deceit can reach and the importance of seeking the truth. As the dust settled on this perplexing case, the town of Paris, Illinois, began the arduous process of healing. The revelation of Lazarus's treachery had not only shaken them to their core, but had also highlighted the importance of unity and vigilance within their community. The legacy of Eliza Fruge, the victim of this intricate scheme, lived on, serving as a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. As the years passed, the memory of Eliza faded into the annals of history. The once bustling streets of Paris grew quieter, echoing with the whispers of a town forever changed by the enigmatic case of the murdered woman.